Hello everyone and welcome back to a new process video. I had a lot of requests for negative watercolor painting process video. When I had shared my butterflies earlier, there were so many people who asked me, how did you do that? What did you do? So I thought I'd just record my process. It's not really something I'm very comfortable doing. I struggle with it always, and it always looks really bad before it all comes together. But it's a style that I am learning to love, and it's really growing on me. So I'm using my favorite watercoloring medium, as always, the Distress Ink Reinkers, and the stamp is from Altenew that I stamped repeatedly on my 8x3 panel to make a slimline card. I'm using MERMAID LAGOON as my first color, and I'm just painting the areas where I want the color to show up with water first, and then just dropping in micro drops of that Reinker, and it just kind of spreads and does its thing. I'm not being very careful about making sure that I stay within the lines, and you'll see why. Usually I am very particular about the way I paint within the lines, but not for this particular style. I just wanted to drop in color where I wanted it in those leaves. And as you can see here, I'm just going over with a lot of water. I got a thicker brush, lots and lots of water, and I'm spreading all that color around now with the yellow and the blue, and it's making this beautiful green. And I'm using mustard seed, that's my yellow Reinker, and again, as I said, it will look really bad before it starts coming together, so don't be afraid to just put a lot of water. That's really the key in this, is put a lot of water and just spread it around. Leave some parts be, but for the most part, what you're trying to do is lose a lot of the details. It's kind of going to be a lost and found kind of painting where you will have the notion of leaves in some places, and you'll have some very distinct leaves in others, and there are still others that are just going to fade away. So once I let this dry a little bit after I had smudged water all around, so to speak, I came back in. It took about 45 minutes for the whole panel to dry before I started doing this last step where I'm adding the really deep color. And I'm not adding that much water to put the color in initially at this stage. And I'm not outlining all the leaves. I'm kind of going willy-nilly and just kind of having the darker areas be towards the edge of the card and going lighter towards the middle. And it's basically a free flow kind of thing. So just go with your instinct. Don't overthink this, because if you overthink it, it's just not going to look good. And really what you want is for it to be very fluid, very organic, very spur of the moment, very, amorphous with no real planning. And that really is the key to doing a painting like this. The negative watercoloring is that you don't have a plan. And you just kind of let your instinct guide you, and don't be afraid, take some risks. It's just paper, it's just color. If it doesn't turn out the way you like it, try another one. Or maybe this is not your style, but you won't know unless you actually try it and experiment and have fun with it. So it's basically very simple. Just find a shape that you like, color it in, and then just go around it with a lot of water, smudge it all out, let it dry, and then come back in with darker shades of that same color. And a contrast color if you want, or a complementary color depending on what you're going for, what kind of effect you'd like. And then just play around and drop it in, and just brush it around and see what happens, see where it takes you. There really isn't any process to this madness, I think. It's just kind of, you have to do it to understand what you like or don't like about it. And this is kind of just a guideline of how I do it. This is my process. But just give it a try and see where it takes you. I just added some branches at the very end to give it some more a definite shape, so that it's not all just amorphous and those leaves aren't just hanging out there. But really there wasn't much to this. It was just a lot of play. And then I just added a sentiment on top, and since I had used a slimline card, I had some strips of the painting left over that I put around the sentiment to highlight that even further. I also added another stamp, a script stamp, to kind of fill in those empty spaces. Slimline cards are really tricky because they have so much space that you need to fill in. But I'm also loving them because then, you challenge yourself and you see how you can fill that space in effectively and what you can do with it. It can be a challenge, it can be nerve-wracking, and it can also be very exciting. So this is my final card, and it's just basically that watercolored panel done with the Distress Ink Reinkers. MERMAID LAGOON and mustard seed were the only two that I used, and just a lot of water. And I had fun, and then I just die cut it, put it on another gold panel, and then stuck it on an 8.5 by 3.5 card base, and my card is ready to go. So I hope you will give this a try. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, I'm happy to answer them. And I hope that I'll get to see what you made.